Welcome to Digital Art 101 Bootcamp by Nifty Tribe, powered by Afen Blockchain Group in collaboration with Bob Labs and Adobe Express. This is a photography editing tutorial.
Intend to make the loop interactive. So if I call your attention, please just give me for a moment and it will just go well. So I'll share my entire screen with you so I can take you through the process. I do not know if you have Photoshop on, but if you do have a Photoshop on, I don't think you'll be able to follow step by step if you are actually following, if you're actually using your Photoshop at the same time. So I think you have to make reference to the letter, like the saved, what's it called? The saved video from it. So I'll take you up for a moment. So I'll take you up with a few of my photographs from a few I've actually launched as NFTs, but I haven't made sales yet on them. But because so I went on this project. Are you seeing the screen? Hello?
Yeah.
So are you seeing my screen? Yeah? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
You just respond. I'm sorry. I know I kept you waiting, but don't make me feel bad. So yeah, you are seeing my screen, yeah? So these are a few photographs I took about a few months ago in Abuja. I just went on this travel documentary thing, and on the travel documentary, I set out to just go visit places, take pictures, and the intention was not just take normal pictures. The intention was to actually document the community, be part of the community, understand what they were going through or what they were doing at the time and what it really meant to them. I really wanted getting involved with their culture. So we kicked off the project documenting this. I think for this particular one, this is a place in Gwagwalada. Gwagwalada is the local government, a little bit outskirts of FCT. Yeah, and the women here, the cell pot, these are clear pots, and most, I think these are the ones, the white ones here are clear ceramic pots here. And I tried following the story, but I couldn't follow it clearly. Like if I needed to follow everything about the story, it means I would have gone to where they made the clear pot, where they said they made in a Kano. I needed to have gone to Kano to document, to really understand the process. So yeah, the difference between the kind of NFT I want to sell and the ones every other person has going on is that I want to be part of the story, and if I want to make money from the project, I want to give it back to the community. I do not intend. I feel like it's a great avenue, but I do not know if I really have so much need for just ripping off the project. Yeah, these are kids in the village I've been acquainted with, and then one of those days they just ask that I take them a picture. Yeah, so this is another local government entirely. I think this is somewhere between, it's another state entirely. I've forgotten the name of the state. And then I saw a fine tree and I just waited for a few moments. And then this bike just drove past. But I think there should be a better one. Yeah. So this happens to be like my favorite. I stuck there for a while, waiting on something to just happen between the tree. And then I saw this yellow van, I think carrying luggage from normal market women thing. And then I stood there. I just had it captured. So this is basically me being at the right place at the right time. It's really nothing about the picture than the fact that I was there and everything just happened into the frame. Yeah, this is a bigger version of it. Yeah, so this is still another one. I saw a clear path and instinctively just waited because maybe I was tired, and then I just instinctively waited and everything just happened to walk in at the time, and the boy just walked in and he looked pretty confident because he didn't really care if I had the camera on. So we kicked off with him and Same thing. Yeah, so this is like the local community before you get to document them. I mean, in Abuja, people really don't feel safe like that. So the local community, before I document them, they have to take me through the process of meeting their community head and all. So this is one of the community head I got to meet through the process of documenting. Yeah, so these are the things I document. Yeah, I think this is somewhere between this is Akwa Ibom State. We just went by the riverine area, had found kids playing in the mud, and I took this picture 2017, but it's been with me like all my life. I think I really love the picture. It's one of the pictures I admire so much in our archive. I wouldn't let it go for any reason. And part of the reason why I think I adore it, don't worry, we'll get to Photoshop, though I'm just taking you through a story. I think I'm a storyteller, so it works best if you come from a story that does head up straight to learning, yeah? Are we good on it, yeah?
Yeah,
hello?
definitely. We love it.
Sorry, I don't need to know that we are, like, I'm now feeling bad that I've kept you waiting for like 5
Yes,
minutes.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that you are following the story. I'm sorry, it was not intentional. I was actually here like 15 minutes before the time. I did not know my speaker was going to make it like that. All right. So this is another place. So this is on this particular project. I set out to document things that we had going, things we saw like household items that we did not really know where they came from, like the clay pots from Pycon. That's the name of the local government, Pycon. The clay pots, they are like flower vases we see at home, but we did not really know that they were locally made. So this is mortar. I think this is the machine they use in making mortar. So I just went a little bit in depth to the project, and yeah, this is what I got off it. Sorry, get back to my PC. Yeah, so this is what I got off it for the clear project. Yeah, this is the process they go through and videos. But yeah, so this is one of the photographs I like. This is a normal guy and just enjoying his life with his cows, and it's like your father should take him a photograph because he saw I was just snapping everything around the area. So I documented him, but I haven't had the chance to get, like, since I got back to Lagos, I've not had time to get back on the project again. And I do feel bad. Yeah, see the kids. I mean, anytime I go by, I need to give them their photographs. So this is still part of it, just landscape, good scenery, wait for a perfect time, take a picture, which is basically what I'm going to take you back to today. I'm going to take you to Photoshop, going to try a little bit to show you how I go about retouching the images, making them look the way they look. I like a little touch. I don't want my images to look like normal African images. I want to have them not look Nigerian. I do not want the images to look Nigerian. Not like I'm in Nigeria and a fool. Like I like Nigeria, but I just like my thing a little bit out. So that's all for it. Let's head straight to the main due. So, how many of you are familiar with Photoshop already? So I know where to skid off from. Like, everyone here, have you ever used Photoshop already? Like, had a thing to do with Photoshop?
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Any other person? Please turn on your what's it called? Your mic. I need it to be a little interactive, so I do not feel like I'm alone.
So people are dropping comments.
Yeah, it's fine if you are going to. I'm saying that it's fine if you are sending that. I think you also add up. So any other person, so I know, like I want to know where to get it off from, so I just don't come and teach you what you already know. All right, thank you. So this is how we're going to go about it. I'm going to take you through the basics of Photoshop, maybe pointing you to how to make those images pop, to bring out a few things on them. And on this particular PC, I have a Photoshop dated. Let me check it out. Since you see my screen, it'll be easier. I think this is a 2020 dated Photoshop, but it wouldn't really matter. I mean, what really matters at the end of the day is what we use it for, or how we are able to use it for whatever we use it for. I'm not big, like I'm not particular about which year Photoshop was made. I'm particular about what I can use it for. So I'll take you through that, and then we'll just do it. I'm trying to copy images from the other PC that I think is going to be quite helpful to tune from. So are you seeing my Photoshop from there? Are you seeing the Photoshop screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to copy a few. This is actually something that was on the Photoshop before we got clicking on it. Okay, so basic thing. So let me take you through the tools. So this particular tool here is called the Move tool. You see it? So this is what you do. Whatever I show you here, whatever tool I tell you, if you note it down, when you go on YouTube, you set the use of that particular tool. All right. If you go that way, you'll be able to set, when you set the use of that particular tool, you'll be able to understand clearly. I mean, if somebody is going to explain how a particular tool works, he's going to make it very quite elaborate. So you'll be able to see through what you can use that tool for. What you can use that tool for, instead of just thinking that you know everything all at once. So I'll put you on the tools, and this other tool here is called the rectangular mask. So we use the rectangular mask is just to highlight a particular area for whatever you want to highlight it for, and then work with that particular area instead of working on the image holistically. And then there is this other tool called lasso tool. With the lasso tool, you will be able to pinpoint a particular area to maybe make a segment or crop a picture out. This is actually what graphic designer mostly pay attention to. Like, you could use it to crop a particular area, figure it out, and just work from there. You see how it works here? So, but when you're able to pick the name of the tool, look over it on YouTube, you'll be able to navigate your way around. So this is called the Magic Wand tool. For the Magic Wand, you bring a picture in. Bring a picture in right now. You bring a picture in. I'm trying to get to a particular folder. So let's pick this picture, for example. You open it on Photoshop. All right. So that's a 2021 Photoshop. You open this picture up on Photoshop, and this is what you have. With the Magic Wand tool, let's say you want to crop out the picture. All right. It's more like an AI thing that automatically picks a particular point where you click on, and then just expansion is like, say, I want to pick the eyes. But the thing I want to let you know is that whenever you bring a picture into Photoshop, all right, first thing you have to do is create a layer. With creating a layer, there are two ways about it. First, I think I'm actually used to using shortcuts. So what I usually would do now would have just been click on. So with the shortcut to creating a layer would be Control J, or Command. If you're using Mac PC, to be Command J. With that, you see a particular this point here where there's a layer, where you see layer 1. Right. With that now, you'll be able to pick whatever tool you want to use. You click on a particular area you want to click on, it just marks it out for you. Or that's another way. So the second way to do it is that I'm deleting the first layer. You could delete the layer by dragging the layer from here down here. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that? And if you want to actually duplicate the layer, all you now have to do is here, click here, create new layer, and the layer panel comes up again, and then you go about it. So the crop tool is too big, or I want to reframe it to use it for a particular thing, I could choose to crop however I want to crop it, just with the crop tool. Could crop it there and then just okay it here, and then everything is fine. All right. So yeah, please, if you have questions, please don't hesitate. Like, we're not going to do a pause where we get back to questions. If you have questions, just turn off your mic and just hit up on the question. I'm open to answering. All right, and that also makes us feel like we're on one page. So I do not feel like I'm just entirely talking. Are we there?
Yes.
Okay. So if you feel lost at any point, please do not keep quiet. Do not keep quiet. I intend to be here for you. Like I'm 100% here for you today. Okay, so this is a firm tool. Particularly, I haven't never used this one. Maybe not really does not have use for it yet. So there's a thing called the eyedropper tool. It has different uses. It's most people would use it for. Most people will use it for things like picking places for white balance. Those like big terminologies. But if you jot it down, you would be able to search and see what white balance is. And I don't want to, since most of you said, oh, you've not used Photoshop before, I don't want to jump into what's it called, terminologies. Yeah. So yeah, we go. Okay, so this is the spot healing tool. I think spot healing tool. What the spot healing tool basically does is that if you have a place where you find any blemishes on the picture, say you consider this to be a blemish and then you want to pull it off, all you need to do is press your bracket tool. With your bracket tool, press bracket, the sidebars of the bracket, either to make it smaller or to make it bigger. And then sometimes you would turn it on and then it doesn't show. It's because it shows this way. If it shows this particular symbol you are seeing here, it's because your caps lock is turned on. So in that case, all you have to do is turn off your caps lock, and then it will show you the size you want on it. Yeah, and then you just reduce it to the blemish size. If you consider this to be a blemish for you, you just make it that way, and you click on it and drag to the size you want it to be. It just would leave the place on the normal. Yeah. And then you just go about with pimples or whatever you have going on, just like that. And this is called the brush tool. The brush tools are actually used for different things. If you have a point of where you want to highlight out of the picture, maybe you are trying to paint over and you don't want that place to be affected, that's what it's used for. And there's a thing like the clone stamp tool. Clone stamp basically does the same thing as spot healing tool. The difference is that spot healing tool feels like an AI thing that copies almost the closest to that patch and fill up the part that it considers messy. But with this clone stamp, you have to actually clone it, like get over it. So this is okay. So let's say that I consider this particular point. Let's say that I consider this particular spot a blemish. All right. All I'll have to do with the tool is click on it, pick it, then click on alternate, click on the side. On the side, I want to replace this particular spot and just mark it over, and it will just work like that. For this reason, why it's not working, we'll figure it out when I bring in the other pictures. All right, so we'll have history brush. History brush is like if I'm done with everything and I consider that whatever I did was really not it. Like I did a very horrible thing. With the history brush, I would just come over and paint it over. I need to undo everything I've done prior. So we have a thing like the eraser tool. You know what typically eraser does? It just cleans it where if I think I did mistake but it doesn't work the same way as history brush does. So you have to, history brush actually restores everything to its natural place. But with the eraser tool, it just take it out, but it's not it's not fair if I'm using it for photograph, except I'm using it for design, like the example they just did there. And then there is a tool called the gradient tool, where you could pick color from one area and stretch it over another. And then there is this called blur tool, basically what does what blur does. And then there is this other called dodge, and we have on the dodge panel. So in each of these tools here, if you click on the side of them, say you get to polygonal lasso tool, you right click on it, you find things like lasso tool, you have things like polygonal lasso, and then you have things like magnetic lasso tool. Each of these almost work the same thing, but really gives you different feel. this will take you a different field. So that's exactly why I said, oh, you should actually look in the tools up individually on YouTube, so you'll be able to have good, very fair knowledge about it. And then there is this, I think, okay, yeah, I've talked about the Dodge. So I think all of the tools have more than one thing inside it. So with the Dodge tool, if you right click, you are going to see things like burn tool. You are going to see things like sponge tool having different work, almost at the same area. Yeah. And then if you click, so this is called the pen tool. The pen tool is also used to mark particular area and things. Yeah. But if you click on it, right click on it, you'll find things like freedom pen tool, and then you are going to find other things like what's it called, curvature tool, and it just goes on and on. But the best way is that, as I've shown you the tool, and it's easier now that you know the name of the tool, so you just click on them, find how they work, try how they work, try to practice, you figure it. But I'll help you also. I mean, if you have any questions somewhere between your practice period, I'm very, very open to answering. We have this other one called the horizontal type tool. So basically, if you're trying to type a thing on the image, and then you just go about your typing. Yeah. So that's what you have to use for it. Let's cross this. Oh, pick time. Remind me. Sorry. So yeah, and then we have this other one, the path tool. Basically would help you if you're doing graphics with it, to create your symbols, to do every other thing you want to do. Yeah, it does work like that. So the next part we have is rectangular tool. It does help you create sequence of it under the rectangular. So this is actually for people doing design. So under the rectangular tool, you have rounded rectangle, you have ellipse tool, ellipses, yeah. Then you have triangle tool, and the rest, the list just goes on. So this other one is like using for panning. This is the hand tool. With this, I can move the image to a particular level. So let's say I brought it this close and I want to bring it down so I can see it with that alone. It's like the same thing. You could just drag it down, move the image around like that. And this is like the zoom tool. With the zoom tool, you could just click on it, tap on how close you want the image to be, you right click, you left click, and when you want to zoom it out, you just do the same thing by picking a particular fit for the screen, and it's back to normal. So are we there? Can we head on?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Anybody got a thing to say? Anybody feel like something they need to be addressed before we head on to the next phase? Anybody? See, I'm here. I'm open to question. I'm here. It's like anything you want to know, anything you think you see. How does this work? I'm open. Anything you think I've not explained to the best of your interest, I'm here. I have your best interest. What is that? Let's head on first. So I will assume that everybody knows. I will assume that we're on the same page at this point. Should I?
Yes, you should.
Okay. So I pick up a first image from the PC, and then I just head up straight to open with, and I have to choose program file. Other than that, I will just drag it to this image. So there are two things. The image format that opens on Photoshop actually a lot PNG. We have a lot. We have PNG. We have JPG. Please give me a moment. Okay. Sorry, I'm back. Sorry, I had to turn on the light. So different image formats would open on Photoshop, but this particular format, since it from camera, it actually what's it called, ARW or W. I shoot with Sony, so that's what happens with Sony. With another camera, it would be a different file format, maybe JPEG, maybe RAW, and should be able to present you with a thing that would help you check out file format. So here we go. For the launch in Photoshop, I picked a particular image that I've used for the story. And this is the image I told you about from PyCon, the women with the clear pot who makes clear pot and things. And here we go. So this particular when I've seen the image format is actually not JPEG, it's RAW. It opens straight up to a plugin called Camera Raw. So with Camera Raw, there is the image, and the first thing I need to check is the sharpness of the image. If the image is sharp enough, I go about it, and from what we have here, it looks like it's sharp enough. If it's wearing it, I will just pick another image. I'll look for that particular folder if there was something better in it. All right. So first things I need to check is the exposure. Is the exposure right? With exposure, what that simply means is like how bright the image is. It perfectly exposed. So if it was this way, it would be underexposed or badly exposed. For a photographer, we would definitely not use this. Like, I don't think if I shot an image that appeared to be this way, when I brought it back to the PC, I would really not have need for it, because I just think I messed up. So I need to do something better. But if I were to revive it, so this is what basically it is. So it's a right exposure if it was like this from camera. So what I'll just need to do now is I'll check off. So if you notice here, we've lost light when we like it's so much light when we have the clear. So it doesn't really look like clear pots anymore. These ceramics, the white ceramics don't look like white ceramics. It does look like something that is just there. So first thing I want to do is this. I want to bring back the highlight. All right. So we assume that this is overtly exposed. So two things, we have two sort of images. We said either an image is perfectly exposed, underexposed, or overexposed. So if it's this other way, it's underexposed. If it's it's overexposed. I mean, you can't see anything in it, so it's overexposed. And I don't think there's no need for it. It won't work. I mean, especially when you are printing large format printing, how do this come out on the billboard? It wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, that's how you check it out first, and then I decide that okay, this image is nice enough, it's a good image, but this highlight is blown off. It's like the highlights are too much. So I'll bring it back by clicking on the highlight slide, and I'll drag it down. All right. With the software, I'm supposed to be able to show you two sides of the images, the side I've done and the side I'm yet to do. So you can see when I brought it in, the highlight here was actually gone. You notice like the topmost side of this. Just observe the skies. When I brought it in, the sky was entirely blown, like you could not see the leaf because they were blown away. And then here it is, the sky is back low. Then I'll bring back, what next I will do is that I will try to increase the contrast so these things that behind her will pop. All right. Are you there? See, yeah, I am going to keep asking. I'll be asking you if you are there because I need to know that we are together. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to know, so I will not just be speaking plenty grammar and then you're like, what's this guy saying? So if you don't understand anything, please don't hesitate to just put on your mic and say, oh, how did you get about this? All right. I don't want to take things overboard. I just want to be with you and walk you through the process. So the next thing we'll do is I'll bring back the blacks. All right. I'm bringing back the blacks because of the pot, but I have to be careful lest it will affect the woman's skin. All right. She now looks like one of those things. You see, it doesn't make any sense. So I'll keep it at the barest minimum. I'm not going to take it to I'm not going to blow it away. I'm just going to keep it the modest I can. So mine be at -10, -12 is fine with me. Then we'll leave it there. The next thing I want to do is that I want to bring clarity to these things. Clarity in the sense I have drag it close so you notice what clarity does. Clarity does pops up. It adds a lot of details. Yeah, so to speak, it adds detail to the stuff you have, especially this would work on the landscape, like the other landscape I showed you earlier. I did there's a lot of clarity, there's a lot of highlights because you do those images in comfort like that. I need to address them with these things. So it's like, first of all, it ought to be a good image from your camera before you take it to Photoshop. And when I say camera, I'm not really talking about professional camera only. Most times I shoot with my phones, but this one is not with my phone, but it's like with the barest of camera. It's like the smallest of cameras that I have. This is what I shot this other one with. But first, it has to be good from camera. Okay, so there's a thing to, we have worked with highlight. I've talked to you about clarity. I've talked to you about texture. So texture and clarity before now with the Adobe Lightroom, the Camera Raw, this particular plugin, we used to have texture and clarity together. They were a single thing. And so we just used to be texture, clarity and dehaze. But now I think they have been able to they broke it down for some user experience. So you see differently what they do. I do not want this woman to appear like really, really weird. So if I pull it back too much, this is what you get. You get her looking like that way. If I push it forward, like I'm dehazing her at the same time. So it looks like I've worked on the picture, but it doesn't make her look good. So I want to keep it there for now. And then we'll look at things like shadows. So shadows are like the dark point of the images. So basically where we have a armpit is a shadow point. Where we have underneath our chin here, it's a shadow point. Underneath our nose, shadow point. Where there are blacks in the image, in most cases is a shadow point. So you see there's another folder, there's another click on thing called blacks. With the blacks, tune it to basically how you want it. First of all, there's a disclaimer. If you are starting off this thing, it might be a little bit, it's going to be an interesting ride, also very frustrating at first because you would be looking out for what makes a good image and all, yeah. But at the end of the day, what really makes it a good image is actually what you see and how you are able to go about it. There's no threshold. I can't tell you, never stretch this to 100. It will floor your image. It can never work. No, I can never tell you that because that's a lie. You have to just learn what works for you. It could blow my mind when you switch it to 100. So, and I can't tell you, never dehaze your image. Dehaze doesn't work. Dehaze tool is here for a reason. So I cannot tell you that either. And it goes on and on. So before we get back to this, if you want to switch your image black and white with the Camera Raw, you have the option here. You just click on the option, the image goes black and white. I don't know many people like black and white image, but for an amateur photographer, I think this is what I really like because I did not really have to bother or stress over the colors. I just have to switch the image to black and white and it was good. You look at it, it looks good already. Just switching it to black and white. So this is the before and this is the after. So this is like a tool for the before and after. This gives you it gives you hands to see how the image was prior and how it is where you are taking it to. If you have gotten overboard, you'll be able to see them side by side. So let's say we want to switch it to black and white. It would be nice, but the thing about black and white images for creators or photographers is this: the image you see as black and white, they do not see it as black and white. They find a lot of things interesting in it. They find things like contrast. So now let me show you what that would work. If I pop that contrast, this contrast we have here, if I pop it up right here, this is what we'll get. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So that's basically, you will see a lot of colors, and for photographer, go a long way to actually believe that. So we don't believe that the image, because black and white is black and white, we also believe that there are colors in black and white. So you'd see that now that I've tweaked it to bring back a little bit of this tone. So you see that the color changes. Another thing I want to show you, I want to get back to is this. I skipped that unknowingly, but now that I've found need to bring it back. I'd remove it, sorry, standard. A short. Okay, so this is the thing I want to bring you back to. So there is a thing called the white balance that I was trying to explain earlier. What you could use the color tool, the picker tool to do was pick the white balance. So this is the thing we call white balance. With the white balance tool, there are things you do with it, and part of the things we do with it is this: if you go this way, it makes the image, adds blue to the image. This blue in photography terminology we'll call it code. It makes the image code. All right. If you go this way, where you have a lot of, it brings more yellow tint to it. We call it warm. So an image, first of all, on the white balance sequence, toggles between being cold or being warm. It toggles between being cold. If an image goes to blue, it's cold. And such, you would mostly see this in cinema, where romance theme, it has a lot of subtle blue in romance theme. Maybe some action movies really get picked to that point where you have a lot of either blue ambience in tough situations, yeah. And then if it's just going to be playfully, you can tweak it towards a little bit warmth. Yeah. So we have another cold tint underneath it. Tint basically whatever you pick. If I say we went a little bit cold, so this, and then we pick a magenta tint. So the color purple here in photography is called magenta, and the color greens are called magenta, cyan. Yeah. So I think you should look that up, please. Magenta and cyan. Cyan is spelled CYAN. You just look that up. Cyan, it does the color part on this. Yeah. So I'm done with this particular explanation. So let me bring the image back, and then I just work on it while you watch. So I'm going to bring in two images. First, this is an image where I will have to pop colors. That this other one is still love. Mama Aina. Mama Usaina, yeah. Remember the woman's name. Okay. Two ways about this. First, I could have chosen to actually open it up with Photoshop. I'll just drag it to Photoshop. Either ways work almost the same. See, I want to drag it to Photoshop. This is just what I would do. I'll click on the images I want to bring, and then just drag them to Photoshop. And then when I get here, I leave them. And they open up on Photoshop, all of them. Supposed to open all of them, but this came only this first. Let's hope that the others will come later. Yeah, so first of all, I'll bring back how I work on these images. That I brought back the highlights for the other one. And then I noticed that I had a lot going up, like the skies that already I was losing details in the skies already. And the thing I also want to pop colors here. I want to have this looking richer than it appears on photos. So log in with me. I gotcha. Okay, here we go. First, I want to bring back the grains here. These grains we have. So to do that, I will come to my color grading folder. So this is for color grading. This is the mid-tone, shadows, and highlight. I don't think I told you about this. So the mid-tones is actually the midpoint of the image where there are more like dark contrast. The highlight, the shadow is actually where I told you the dark spot of the image is. Those are basically shadows. The highlight is this other area of the image. I think I said that. So I want to work on the colors individually. Yeah, so with Photoshop, I could also choose, with Camera Raw, there's a plugin I could also choose to, if the image was too bad, like the quality wasn't as sharp as I would want it to be on the billboard, or maybe they're ordering a billboard print after the shoot, I would have to sharpen it a bit. You would notice that it's a little bit sharper than it was. So I'll bring it closer so you see the details. This is how it was. I put the sharpening a little bit in. This is what we have but now it has a feel of noise like tiny pixels inside it. So to reduce that noise, I'll have to take this back, and then you have this. But this is really not it. This is not where we want to be. It's horrible, yeah. So we'll pick it back to a particular level, and then we'll have to color noise reduction. Use it small. Take this back so we don't have to have everything looking so artificial. I don't know, like it that way personally. Yeah. So I bring back the white small, of the shadows a bit. Most importantly, I'm keeping my highlights where I'd like it to be. Then I'm coming here a little bit. I want to see the contrast. I want everything to pull up, come out a little cleaner than it is. That's one. The next thing is I want the texture. I want to see the texture of certain things in the background too. So for the texture, I'm going to pull it up small. I'm going to punch it in small. Next thing is that I want to go to my curve layer, and on the curve layer I have different. Okay, I think you just still note this down. If I have time, I would explain how the curve work too. So with the curve layer, I'm going to go. This is the same thing I explained about highlight. So this is your highlight. This is your mid-tone. This is your shadow. You pull it, things happen to the image. If I drag it up now, you would notice them, but I think that would also does bring that something changes on the image. Okay, so yeah, we go. No. I'm done with it, so I'm opening it back to Photoshop. So we'll just tweak a little. Every other tweak we have will be on Photoshop now. Then I do not want it to open this way. Don't open this way. Oh, sorry. We have to go back the process in a moment. Just chilling. So here is a picture of the clear pods from them. I'll bring you up to see how the other two work here. So this is the clear pods. The details are a lot gone. I mean, depending on how upload the pictures was. So this is what I'll do. I'll use it to actually demonstrate how well the highlight and everything I need works. So this is the highlight. You notice that change is very subtle to you now, but it's going to do a lot at the overall part of the image. So here we go. If I take it this other way, I'm making it blown out, bringing back the highlights here. I'm going to increase the dark point of the image. So you notice this is what we're getting now. I'm going to increase the texture because I want this to save. Now the intent of this particular image for me is like a lot of you can use as screensavers, like phone screensavers. Then I'm going to just increase it a bit, and then we're almost there. I've increased the texture, and if you notice the details that we did not have prior here, right, so I'll bring back, so you see the details doing almost all gone, so I'll bring them back like this, and then I add a little bit of clarity to it, increase the blacks so it looks richer, the color and it looks richer. And I bring back either my shadows or I choose to blur it off depending on how I want the image to be. But I think it would have a lot of drama to it if I brought back my shadow. You see, if I take it this way, everything does look bare. It looks like there's another image. But if I bring it back a notch, it's going to have that a little feel of drama inside it, right? So we'll leave the drama there. We'll increase the contrast a little. We increase the vibrance. Vibrance will basically just make everything pop. But what it's also affecting is that you notice the floor or the ground here. This point, it's also affecting it, and it just looks like a color blast in your face. It doesn't quite make sense. So you're going to bring it back to a modest amount. We go this way. We are detoning a lot of things. We're losing out on a lot that we came in with. Yeah. So this is basically, if I'm done with it and tend to want, like I now want to actually get to use the color temperature tool to maybe take it to the cold side of things or the warm side of things or the cold side of things, see how the cold side of things will make things look. Now, if I leave it there and decide to add a little tint or one with the same color, see how it goes. It just messes with you like that. But you want to keep it. You just want to achieve the whatever you saw before you taking the picture to Photoshop. So it's essential that you have to pre-visualize. It doesn't want to go from one corner to another. You have a thing you know that you wanted it to look like, and then when you get to Photoshop, you are just going to move till you find it looking that way. So I'm not going to use the tint. I'm going to just slide in the temperature of it and go forward to the optic tool. I've not used this before, never had need for it. So the effect like vignette, what vignette does is that it just adds a darker shade to the edges of the image. They pull it back, you will notice that. So this is basically what it does. You see that? That's what vignette does. Are we good? Are we good? Hello? Hello? Hello?
We are good. I'm having network issues, so I could not speak.
Okay. So that's basically this other tweak to it before now. I think when I take it to Photoshop, I'll show you this could be done in a different way too on Photoshop. This is a lot of dynamics between this other one that I now have to explain to you. And if you've not done it before, you see just wiggling through it, so it does look like you just wiggle the wheel and something works. But with the other sliders, you'll be able to really understand how they work. So I'll open this other one on Photoshop. I'll leave it here for this and open it on Photoshop, so we'll continue on the lot of the others. So it's here now, and well, I have to bounce off to other tools. So if you click on this particular panel here, you have something like create new fill adjustment layer. I click on it and I'll come to a thing like curve adjustment layer. These are basically used for tonality of pictures. Basically, yeah, depending on what you click on, it's just going to tone the picture on a different level. So I try to use levels before. What levels would do is that level would offer us a point between a highlight, mid-tone, and shadows. With shadows, mid-tone, and highlights, here you see you pull it over a little bit. This is you're getting more shadow. You can leave it this way. You're getting more mid-tone, the darker shadow of the tone part here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just make this look dramatic without leaving the color looking dead. All right. So this is what we'll do. Bring them in here, drag this in a little, bring back the highlight on some panels. I bring back the panel, we have the highlight on the spots here, because if this pops the whole image, it will just be that this is a leading line. This drags your eyes into the image, and when you find this, it also looks enticing, and then you have drag back. You are taking your eyes automatically takes you out through this too. So with this particular layer, with the levels layer, when I tweak it this way, I've tweaked so far, it's going to affect everything. It's basically affecting everything. So what next I could do for it is that I can invert it. So to invert it, I have to click on the middle layer, put the white layer here, and I have to do Control I. The Control I, everything is working. That same layer, everything is under that layer, is under the black spot here. And to get this, whatever is under this black spot out here, I have to use the brush tool. I showed you the brush tool earlier. This brush tool.
I don't understand something. You know, this stuff was showing white before, but I think after you press the high, it changed to black.
This particular one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that it's so let me get back to it. So see, this is what it was. It's showing white now, yeah?
Yes.
Now, everything I've done on this layer from here, everything I've tweaked from these lines, yeah?
Okay.
It affects the image. So if I toggle this this place here where the hand is right down, if I toggle it on and off, you see that this is how it is now. This is how it was before. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it on. I leave it on. Sorry. I leave it on here. Then I go to the white point. All right. I highlighted this white point. All right. So there's a thing called invert. Invert is like saying it's like raising a book up and putting everything under the book. So before you can get the book, you have to raise this other layer. So you have to raise. Oh, sorry. It's like taking a book up and putting like maybe you're putting a razor under the book. All right. To get the razor, you have to raise the book back.
Yes.
Do you understand? I'm trying to use terminology. Like I'm trying to avoid terminologies. So this is what I'm doing. It's like I'm carrying something to place on top of it. So by that, this whole thing I've done has gone under. All right. So how I did that was that I pressed Control on my PC, and then I press Control and I press I. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. So everything now is under that layer, and my work now is to get whatever I can put under that layer out, like to bring it out.
Okay, understood.
Okay, it's fair, yeah. So I can go ahead. So to bring that out, I have to use my brush tool here. Using the brush tool, where I think I explained the brush tool when I started off. So I click on my brush tool. Start on the brush tool. Now the case with this black here is this. Where we have these swatches, where we have let's put how it's called, it will be where we have this switch foreground and where we have this foreground and background colors. All right. If I have black on top, and then I now bring my brush tool, all right, and paint over this, nothing will happen. It will not work. Have you seen it? It is not working. Are you guys seeing it?
So the black and white showing at this side is like fill and stroke, Abby.
Which black? This particular black and white, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, close. Yeah, it's like fill and stroke. I haven't really used it fill and stroke like that, but I think clear design knowledge, that should be what it's like. Do you understand? So if I use black and paint over black, it will not change anything. All right. So all I have to now do is that white. I have to use white to paint over this black.
Black. Okay. Now I get it.
So I'm using the white now and I'm painting over the black slowly. All right. Are you seeing the effect is taking shape?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. So that's basically how it works here. So I just paint it over where I want to have that particular effect. I'm going to avoid these two because I want these two to pop. If I try making the yellow pop, it's going to be absurd because the yellow color here, color wise, the yellow will just be fighting with this particular color with the bigger pot, and it will not make no sense. So I'm going to kill the two colors and let only these two color pop. All right. So I'm not going to paint on them so they don't hide more on that axis. Then I could just choose to fill out on these areas, fill out on this particular area. All right. don't get bored thinking, oh, this is why is it not using people's pictures? Like, here's someone's picture. I'm going to get to it. I just want to get you involved with the whole process, because most of the times before you find courage to go outside and take people's picture and now find the courage to edit them, that's like another level thing. So the easiest thing you would have easy access to is that you make basic things you have at home. You might just decide to take pictures of them, just put them in a particular position, take picture of them, see how you can make art from them. I mean, I could tell this could be an NFT someday. It just hasn't been yet. So yeah, I pop it up this way, I increase it up that way. If you see the effect has taken hold on them. Always remember that whatever layer you pick, whatever layer I pick, so I'll get back to on that. So I would merge the layer at this point. To merge a layer, you have to press Control, click on the background layer, Control while the particular layer is highlighted, and click on the background layer, and then you right click. When you right click, you go to merge layers. Then you merge them, and they become one again. It's only one layer standing. So to get back to popping these two, that like I said, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go to brightness. I could still use the same levels to now do the same thing, but I want to use brightness. So I'm going to come to brightness, and I'm going to go to here. I'll make it pop just a notch. I think 34 is too much, but I can reduce it. I'll show you how to reduce it. So that is it right there. And I'm going to do the same thing I did to the other one again. I'm going to click on the highlight, the highlighted layer, white highlighted layer. I'm going to click on Control I to invert it, and it's done. I'll zoom in close a bit. To zoom in, when you're using Photoshop to zoom in, the shortcut to zoom in is Control plus. To zoom out is Control minus. Control plus to zoom in. If you're using Mac, it's going to be Command plus to zoom in, Command minus to zoom out. When you zoom in a notch, drag it in, then you go painting in that layer. Just going to make it a little bit dramatic. The idea for this is because I just want to control where your eyes is going through when you looking at the image. These are like intentional things artists know, photographers know, and they just use it. Some image appeals to you like a fine picture, but it's because the other person understands how your eye works, and then just manages to be around that. So yeah, I can't pop these other colors because they're too rich in tone, and if I pop them up, they're going to be struggling for attention with some minor things in the scene. Yeah, and I can add a little bit highlight to the side. Yeah, and I can also go the same way with this. And if I think that what I've done here is too much, like if I think that I've gone overboard, like I'm doing too much, all I have to do is come back here to this particular point where we have this, and I go to my opacity, and I reduce this, the number of the opacity. Can go to minor, I can go to 8, 10. Do you get? I can keep it at 50, so I don't do too much. Do you understand that part?
Yes, I do.
Don't want to do too much. I can keep it at 40. I can keep it at 50. It does depend. But over here, I think this is overboard, so I have to bring it down a bit. So I'll bring it back to 50. Let's keep it at 50 to make it modest. Then you go about I made that up. So I want to show you another thing, and one of that particular thing now is how to pop colors on the image. Ideally, I would have been able to use Lightroom Camera Raw, the first plugin that showed up when I brought the image in to do it. But I felt like you'll be feeling lost because you've really not gone through the basics. So if I take you through that process, it's going to just be like using jargon, and all I'm really avoiding is using jargon on you. So this is it. This is called the hue adjustment layer. I go back so you know how to find it again. You come here. This is like a box where you have all color panels. It's called create new fill, create new fill or adjustment layer. Basically know it as adjustment layer. I click on it and I go to hue and saturation. With hue and saturation, I can pick basically any color here and switch that color to how I want it. All right, so let me say I do not know which color it is, and I pick it. it shows me here that it's red. It changes. Just watch the bar here while I click on the colors. You notice that it switches to the color that it is. All right, this is yellow. This is cyan. The cyan I told you about, CYN. It's an acronym for about 4 colors, I think. So this is blue according to it. I mean, you can argue, but that's blue for Photoshop. So we have it called this red. It's how it identifies it as. And then this is magenta. Magenta is basically purple. It's too much English. It's purple. It's always purple. Okay, so let's start with popping the yellow. If I want to pop the yellow, this is what I would do to pop just the yellow. Now, do not look at these areas that are looking like they are blown up because of one particular action I just did. Because if I can invert, when I come back to invert this, I can only paint out the thing that I want, and it's fine with me, yeah? So don't look at it, don't let it bother you. So I'll keep it here, and then I'll expand my lightness over it. Not too much, not too hard, and then I'll leave it at a 10 or 8 is fine. I will invert it there. Inverted it. Right. Remember, the invert button is Control I. On your Mac PC, it's Command I. And I'll pick the brush tool. The brush tool shortcut to picking the brush tool is B. Yeah, I think we did when you click on the bar without having to click, just take your brush in, it will show you their shortcut. So this is B, and this is J. It comes, all of them comes with shortcut, and then it does go. Except when you want to maybe not pick a particular, maybe you want to pick a particular brush tool and not just this random brush that you have to now click, then now pick which of the B's you want. All right, so I went over it. And then that's one. I could choose now to pop it up small, take back, like increase the saturation, the lightness of saturation. All right, with it, yeah. I could. So after I've inverted it and do whatever I want to do, I could. I'm now certain of that. If I'm working on anything, there is that particular area that I chose that I'm working on. Do you get? And I could just decide to take it overboard or keep it modest or change the hue. So I can basically change it to whatever color I want to change it to right now. All right, if I want it the same purple, I could make it that. Whatever color I wanted, I can switch it up to now. I'll pause for a moment. So ask whatever you felt lost. I do not think that you followed up everything, and even if you do, just ask something that you think I should hit back on. I'm ready to hit back on it.
Well, looking at the yellow, it feels like it's too bright, or the lightness, I feel like it's too light. And reducing it also, it's making it look somehow in my own view. So I don't know.
Okay. So I'll take it back. So this is basically how it is. It's going to be creative. It's going to stand with your creative choice. Whatever you choose it to be, that's what it will be. So it might look too yellowish to you, but you could actually still make it modest. So let's say I want to make it modest, I could bring this back. Maybe it's a thing that has to be saturation, I could bring it back. And if you really see where we are coming from, this is where we are coming from. Yeah. This is where we are now. It's really not something too much, but perhaps you think it's too much, you could just narrow it down small. Just decrease the number.
I think after making changes to the orders, it can come out better because
yeah, for now you feel like it's not sitting well with you yet, right?
Yes.
Maybe after making changes with the orders, it can come out that way. Do you get? But what I'm trying to see is that on the go, yeah, if you feel like you're doing something wrong, you could actually decide to tone it down. You could decide to play with it. Make sure that you're not getting lost entirely. You could just decide whatever you decide. It's fair. It's like I said, it's creative choice. There is no such thing as don't or horribly. Just what you feel at the time.
Okay. And so when you change the color to other colors, some part was still yellow. So it's the brush tool that we use to complete it.
Yeah. It's a brush tool. Yeah, it's a brush tool. So you can either depending on the question. So let's say this particular point of yellow, this point here, is looking brighter than this point.
Okay.
You can decide to paint it in. You can decide I can just bring my brush back here because I did not highlight the side when I was painting. You get, so I'm painting it in now.
Okay.
So it's almost matching. You get. And if I
Okay.
come the same way to this side, it's also going to do the same thing. It's almost matching in. Before it wasn't looking like that.
Yes, no, I understand.
Yeah. And if I was retouching, like if I were retouching a fashion image, it would be different. I would be more attentive to actually making sure like the edges here, we're not getting this. And if I'm getting, okay, let's say I also forgot to tell you that if you want to paint it out, like, so we are painting this in and you figure out, oh, this is bad, I prefer the other color. All you need to do is click X on your keyboard and this place here will switch. The brush will switch black, right? And then you can
Okay.
paint it back to what you want.
Okay. X on the keyboard.
Yeah, X on the keyboard. Or you just toggle here on and off and it goes. You just
Okay.
toggle thing.
I'll send the shortcut. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You just toggle in and then you paint it and everything fills in just like that. So I'll take it a few more steps and then we'll move to the one that has human in it. At least that's the one you will be able to relate more to. Yeah. So let's say I switch over here. I could decide to leave this here, or I would, since I might not be using that particular layer again, so I could just leave the layer there in case there's something that I want to get back to after the whole thing. Click on another layer, bring my click on the hand tool here, click on which color do I want. Do I want to pop this? Do I want to lighten this up? If I want to lighten this up, I'll click on it here. Then I will get back to it and I will create a little bit form of, I'll take back the lightness maybe, or increase the saturation, whichever way. I don't have to do something about it for it to work.
Please, I want to ask, the background, like the flow of this picture is like, how will I put it? If you want to change the background, like the flow, how will you do that? Is it like the same way?
Okay, no, it's not the same way. It does depend on, if you want to change the background, you either have to crop the background in. But if I skip from here, if I just jump from this particular program that we are doing to go try to change the background, I think it might mess with every other person. Like, it might not work well with every other person following.
Okay.
So I will maybe, okay, so when I bring in the other picture, we could start by trying to change the background, or but I also wanted us to try touching up the skin, seeing how we could use Photoshop to make the skin better before trying to.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll get back to you. All right, so let's say I'm trying to pop this. All I need to do is pick the hand tool, click on it, yeah, and then go a little bit this way. Just lighten it up. Say I want to lighten it. So this is basically a point where you just lighten the color. You choose to lighten it up. And if I want to change the color, all I need to do is increase the hue. All right. You see, whatever had that same color in that range is switching to purple. I think with purple it looks like a color. There's a color blend. The other color really looked a little bit off. So I could just choose to keep it there. Yeah. And then match the entire layer in. If I choose any other color, if there's any other color I think I should work on through the process, all I need to do is click on the hue, pick the hand tool, get on this, tweak the color, whatever tweak I need to tweak on here. And sometimes it would look like it's affecting that. The reason why I'm always centered on actually highlighting or masking out a particular area, inverting it and pulling out on only other areas, because sometimes you would think that because that's showing you magenta is going to affect just the surface magenta, but there are other magentas in the field. This could be have a little bit of magenta in it, and it is an AI thing who does figure whichever has smallest subtle effect of that same color, it will work, it will mess with it at the same level. So you don't want that on your work. That's why it's always advisable that you turn on and see where you are going, and then you maxing on that particular point. So let's say I'm trying to switch this color to a richer color, which I am trying on, masking that in. So here we go, pick up my tool, head on it small, bring it down, and just go about painting. Painting it in. The changes here, it's very subtle that it will not look like you are doing anything. It's only on the final product. But if you see that when I'm making this stuff, you would see that this is the part that is affected, only that part on the image, not holistically. Not everything on the image is affected, it does that part. So we see a little bit, very, very tangible changes, but see from the color patches we've done, this is where we came in from. This is how we came in, this is how we've left it right now. There's a few changes, not necessarily big changes, but if you are going to start Photoshop, you are going to start with just these few changes. If you are just going to start with something a little bit minimal, and if I'm done, if I'm going to move up to another thing, always remember to create a layer before you start your work. Always remember that to start a work, when you bring a picture in and you're ready to work on the picture, create a layer for it. Create a layer, and when you are done with the layer, learn how to press your control or command, depending on your PC, and then just click on the layer individually, and then you right click, and then you have something like image layers. And you make your layers, or the page layers, come back to a single fold, and then a lot of that's a lot easier. And then if you are done, say we are done, hypothetically say we are done, just assume we are done, then we'll move down here. You choose the kind of crop you want to crop the image. You want to crop images essentially to give them a better aspect ratio in the sense that we want it to have a visual appeal. To create that level of visual appeal, you need to create a crop in the image most of the times. And when you come to your ratio board here, you have different crop sizes. You have the 1:1, which is what is acceptable on Instagram. You have the 4:5, which is also acceptable on Instagram. These are the Instagram crop. And then you have the 5:7. This is the normal phone crop and print. Then we have the 2:2, the 2:3, 2:3, 4:6. This is still print size. Then you have the 16:19. And if you want to crop it on the 16:19, which is supposed to be, this is what you will get. But if you don't want to get this, you could just switch it up here, and it will now turn to 9:16. It still works, still feels like your phone screen. Yeah, so let's do a 4:5 crop for it to see how it goes. Like the image this way, that's the way it is. And I will just click on the right top of it. You see the tool I'm using for it, the crop tool I said earlier. I think I've been able to touch on that particular tool. Then we just drag it into how you want the image looks. Yeah. A key thing I want you to also notice that there's a rule for cropping, and that rule is called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is spelled rule like RULE of thirds. Thirds is spelled THIRDS. You check up the rule of thirds. It's a particular rule in art that guides us for composition and guides us for a lot of things. And there's also a rule called the symmetry. I'll see how I can share that with you on here. So those are like rules that guide that particular tool. You just don't crop picture. You have to understand because you fall into the line of thirds. What particular rule of thirds sets that is that wherever a point in the picture where the rule of intersection of these three lines, either diagonal or horizontal, hit, that's actually the point that holds the most visual impact. All right. So you check up the rule of thirds. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get back to this particular picture. Let's see what we can do about the crop if that suits with you. Okay, so we'll come back to this again, and we'll just do the little subtle changes with it we tried doing earlier, and then we'll head straight up to actually changing it. Since I've already walked you through this, I'll just switch it up while you watch. All right, first, before we get hit on the image and everything that has to be color on the image, let's look at how you can crop the image. Say I set out to crop this image out from this background. I have broad option available to me. One of such option is the lasso tool, which would essentially, this is what it does, exactly how you've seen there. Then under it, we have a thing called polygonal lasso tool. With the polygonal lasso tool, I would have to just zoom in my image first, and boom, I go this way. Click on the edges. I have to be watchful that I do not kick too deep into the image. Click on the edges of the image, go from here, from this point here to this point. This is me trying to change background on the thing. You can just turn on your speaker. So if you just turn on the speaker, so yeah, if you have any observation that you think should be corrected, just let me know immediately so we sort it out. Because if we have to come back to this particular one now, we have to we'll destroy everything we have done. The process could take longer than this depending on how far you've come with it. And I'm doing a freehand. I'm not using that certain things to use, like I'm not using an external mouse. I'm not using what's it called, a Wacom tab, graphics tablet for it. So I'm just doing freehand for the purpose of this illustration. So enjoy it. And when you have to do it, also take as much time as you can. There's no rush in it. You don't want to cut too deep into the skin, and you don't want to be too off from the skin into. And once in a while, you have to also zoom out to be sure you've not gone overboard. I'm too in, so that tendencies I might start copying in certain things I'm not supposed to copy now. And I have to zoom out to be sure I'm not doing that yet. All right, so we'll zoom out to see if I'm not doing that yet. Okay, I'm not doing that yet. I'm still on track. So yeah. Do you find the process boring?
No, not at all.
We do. I mean, but with YouTube, yeah, under that the under the lasso tool, there are like four other tools you could use to actually do the same thing. So I'm
With
using,
okay, there
yeah,
is a faster one.
yeah, there are faster ones, and then yeah, I do not really think, yeah, there are faster ones where you could just smack on this particular spot and you will just pick in case where the subject really stands out from the background. You just smash on the subject and it will pick out only the subject. And there are ones that you will just roll like a line, you just click and it will just run through the edges. Do you understand? But this is the one that works for me. So you just figure out which works for you. You see that thing I was saying that I should zoom out. Now that I've cropped into the woman's skin and I will lose out on that. So it's always good to zoom out from time to
Okay,
time
so
as well.
why do you like this one?
This one happens. I feel efficient. I feel like this one is efficient to me, but it could also be laziness. You know, laziness to try new things. Because I've been using this one over the years.
Okay.
It could also be laziness to try new things. Trust me, I'm not oblivious of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just have to figure, like when you look them up, you'll be able to figure out which works for you. So that's why I'm saying that instead of trying to learn everything about Photoshop, learn one thing about a particular tool and be so proficient about the tool, then you now jump to another tool. Before you know, you'll have everything at the back of your hand. Okay, so this is it. I'm done cropping that particular side. So to get it to, I have to now turn this way. I have to get back to where I started. All right, I have to get out of the layer and get back to where I started. Now this is where we started. You remember? This is it, and I have gotten here. I'll press enter and need to click. Reset it. Have you seen the edge there?
Yes, absolutely. Oh. What do they call this? The way it's kind of
What is that? The mask, it's more like a mask area. I think that would be the same. So there are other tools in recent time here. This select and mask subject. This particular point here,
okay.
it would do the same thing in the, it will almost do the same thing, and I'll show you how it works too.
Okay.
That's like an AI where you just click and it does figure out a part of the which one is subject, could identify which one is subject that you want out, and then it just does this thing too. I mean, it does do this thing quickly. Okay. So you notice that that thing it has gotten lost. The reason for that is because I was still working on this. So I have to press Ctrl Z to get back to it. I have to switch my layer to this to be able to get back to work. So now I want to take it one step at a time. I do not want to go too far before now joining them, so I will not make too much mistakes. But I'm just being careful because I want to show you. I do not want you to rush over them and now figure out how do you get it right? I did not get it right. I could have done it faster. Okay, so I have to go back. I do not want to make mistake because I'm going too far from where I started. Um, yeah, so we don't go too mute trying to search a particular thing. Okay, this is it. I've cropped out the subject count. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit on feather. Feather is that if there's a part of the edges that I did not crop in well enough, I want to feather it by 2. What I'm saying is that I want these whole lines to get in a little bit into the body by 2, by the radius of 2 here, so to speak. And I've done that. The next thing I want to do is I want to double tap on the layer. The layer is locked. I want to double tap on it. I want to release the layer, bring the layer up. Next thing I want to do is I want to delete this other part of the image, like these other parts, delete them off. So that's it. You there?
Can you explain the layer one again? The feather. Sorry.
Oh, the feather. So the feather, feathering. How feathering works is that. So when I was doing the crop, you would notice that places like this without feathering. Let me see how I can go back to the history so you see how it works, and that you can really notice window history. Okay, the history is here. Make clear feather. So you notice this. Have you noticed this point?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's see without feathering how it did was. It's there, yeah. It's still there,
Yes.
but when it does brings the radius small. I don't know if you are seeing that the small line. I'll zoom it a little bit closer so we see if we are having it right. See, with feathering, it does bring the line slightly in. They are just things you might not notice. They're not like tangible as you think they are, but they just add up. If I had, okay, let's say I increase the feathering by a whole lot of numbers. Let's do feathering let's feather it for 5. Let's see, we'll have changes will be tangible enough. Feather it at 5, and we'll crop. When we delete all the layer, we'll see how it looks like. So to be able to delete this other side of the layer, to be able to delete this part, the outside part, all right,
Okay.
you must unlock the layer. This layer right here is locked. All right, so let's try this thing. You see, if we try to delete it, I've clicked on the delete button, and it's asking for content aware. It's not just going to work. It doesn't work like that. So, or if I want to replace with foreground, now it's saying foreground. If I click on that, this is the color we'll have on it. This is the color we'll have on it. If I click on the foreground, this is the color that we'll have as the background now. This will be a new background. So let's just do that and see. click on that. Have you seen that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, if you click on that, that would be. And if we click on another thing we have there is we click. So I press the delete again, the delete button now, and then I pick background layer. What to have now is the background will turn white.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah, it might be good depending on the purpose you want to use it for. But essentially, if a graphics artist is using it, all right. Okay, I have now noticeably, this is what Afeda has messed with us with. We notice the edge of our clothes now. We notice that slight shadow.
Yes. I've seen it.
And because the feather was too big, I mean, we had to use the radius of 5. The radius cut in too much into the side we didn't want it to.
Yes. Thank you.
There are very subtle changes, but then if a graphic, so you see to bring you up to this point, you see that when we use radius of 5, when we cut into the radius of 5, this is how big it's affecting the image.
Yes, it's not looking good now.
Yeah. But so let's go back and use that tool and see if we'll still have the same mistake. We'll find a better explanation or find a way around it that makes it feel better for us. We delete it again. We use the same background layer that we just used. Then we click on the.
Oh, it's okay now. You can see the edges.
Oh, you can see the. Yeah. So that's actually how it works. So if we are sending it, if a graphics artist wants to use it, all right. Say a graphics artist needs a picture with a crop background to use for what he wants to use for. He is not going to say that this background be replaced with either white or any color. This is what he would ask for. He would ask that we keep this background transparent. By transparent, this is what we'll have to do. We'll double tap on the background layer. All right. This will come up. By this now, what we are trying to do is unlock the layer. And then we'll click OK. We have the layer. There's no key again on the layer.
Yes.
Before now, there was a key. I can bring it back so you see. So there's a key, and after we make a layer, there's no key on that layer. So that layer is free now. And then when we delete it, it keeps it at a transparent layer. So now with the graphics, what the graphics artist would have to do is that you will pick a move tool and just drag the woman to whichever side of the frame you want to drag the woman to.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I really didn't know like you guys didn't really understand but I'm down to explain. So anything that you don't understand, trust me, I'm with you and I'm really willing to explain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that's basically how it will work. So let's see. A typical example is like we want to take it to the first image we did. So we'll drag it up here and see how we can bring it here. Let's see how it works. Have you seen it? You get, we can add it to an already existing design.
Okay.
So that's basically, and we think that is too, we think that we want something to be done about it better off. We'll just say okay, and just pick which side. If we think it's too big, we can from here reduce the size to match up the design sequence and all. But basically, that's how it's done.
Okay.
And I hope that really has put through. I hope that pulled through for you the way you wanted. Say you wanted picking things off the skin, like taking out blemishes from our skin, all right?
Yes.
Remember what I said is that when you bring a picture into Photoshop, always make sure that you create a layer. Like you duplicate this layer.
Yes.
You understand? You don't work on this layer. Imagine that thing that we just did on that layer. If we wanted it has destroyed the underground layer already. So if we had anything that we needed to come back with, or maybe just correct one thing, we will need to start afresh again. Imagine spending that kind of time on like 10 pictures.
Okay. So anytime you need to do any different thing, you need to create another layer.
And to create another layer, sometimes you have two options. Either you press Command J or Control J.
Or the plus icon there.
Yeah, or you just drag the layer, the background layer, just drag it and bring it here.
Okay.
I did not really. You just drag it and bring it. Or I think here you could just click on here. It should duplicate here. You click on that, it will duplicate. Or you just drag the background, drag it there.
Okay. So later you can merge everything.
You can make when you are done. That's when you are done with your workflow. All right. Can make everything. But let's zoom it a little bit closer. Let's try something with another tool, which would be so she's an elderly person. She does not quite meet for me here and the kind of photography. This is a documentary photography. For documentary photography, what we would not really try to do is that you don't want to take the image and make it look lifeless. All right. Documentary is about life. I mean, you have to explain life. You have to experience life. You have to be with them typically to really understand the perspective about life. You do not want anything to appeal fake. Now, let's say I want to taking up a few things in this. Say I want to maybe give it for international publication, and I do not want it to speak bad about my people. Basically, I first will look at this. Do I want the reader of a birthmark, which is, I feel like that speaks that this adds a lot to whoa. It tells a lot about this documentary. All right. Would I want to whiten at it? I do not think I want any of those. This is how original I want her to come. Maybe it does a few things about her skin. Maybe I would not want her to have tear in her clothes. Have you seen the tear? Yeah. So I don't want her to have. So I will use this tool to take that off. You see, this is called the patch tool. Remember, this patch tool or the spot healing tool. Inside the spot healing tool, you have healing brush. You have the patch tool. You have the content aware tool. You have the red eye tool. But I set out to use spot healing tool, so you see how that spot healing works. Please always remember that on any of those brushes, they have multiple functions, and there are ones that could be even easier for you. That's why I advise that you look out for more. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen the one on the shoulder also.
Yeah. Okay. We are just going to go about it together. So you just tell me where you see them, and then we'll just go about to it together. So you see how simple it could be. Just anywhere you want it out, just all I need to do is click on it. I do not want that to look wretched. I'm still coming out to show what she looks like, and I like an heritage, all right? And yes. I do not make her looking for no reason would I have to present my people impoverished. All right. Yeah.
It's just like deleting.
It's not like deleting. It just picks. So this is it.
It just pick it out.
It just picks this place that picked now. It just pick the nearest place and replace it with it. Do you understand?
Oh, okay.
And it automatically does assume that the nearest place to it is supposed to be better, and it fills it up with it. But sometimes it's also wrong. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes I have to now unclick it and say, oh no, that's not, and then find a better spot or find another way around it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could choose anywhere you think, oh, let's clean up this, and we'll go about it together. Like I told you, I'm open. Anything.
Okay. The shoulder is still there. The one at the top of the tip.
Okay. So
no, the shoulder, the clothes. Yes.
Like this part here.
Yes.
And we'll just do it. Sorry, we'll go about it again. So we'll just make sure your brush size is always the same size as the problem area.
Okay, so if you want it to be bigger, how do you do it?
You click your bracket to either close bracket. I mean, between the bracket to either the left or right one. You understand?
Okay.
But there are times that you will turn it. There are times that maybe you pick a tool and you notice that this is what you are seeing. All right, this is how this tool is appearing. Have you seen how that is appearing? If you never, that is because your caps lock is turned on, so you have to turn off your caps lock. I've turned it off now.
Oh, okay.
But key note that always remember to make sure that the size of your brush is always the same size as the problem area that you're trying to eradicate.
Okay.
It should not be bigger than, it should not be smaller than, unless it will punish you. The margin now. So this is basically what I mean. This is the same size as the problem area.
Okay.
I cannot do the same thing here. Instead, if I do the same thing here, you cut pixels. When I say cut pixels, what that means is that it will scatter the pixels. It will not make the thing align the way it should align.
Okay. And the tip of the clothes, the tip of the shirt.
Tip of the shirt. It's
the hand. The other hand.
Okay. This side, this part here.
Yes.
Or this side.
Yes, that part.
So we just do
the top one too.
You just go about it like that. Basically, how to go about it.
Okay.
So you look individually. Look when you open your Photoshop. This tool, just like I'm giving you the easiest of tasks to do here. To understand Photoshop, that's how it happens. You have to understand how individual tool affect what individual tools are used for. You cannot just sit back and get all of this on one particular YouTube that says, oh, this is what we will do. This is how to edit an image. Do you understand? But when you understand how an individual tool works to the best of it, you will just sit back and dismantle an image and recreate it again. You get? Are you there? Hello? Anyone, if you have any question, please just buzz in with the question. I'm open to answer it, please. I do not want to entirely, it's a practical class, so if I'm going to show you, you have to be able to ask so that when you put it out on your own, you know what works, what did not work, you will be able to get back to me. All right.
I'm sorry, my
I don't think
network
anybody
was
has a
bad just
question.
now.
Okay.
I don't have any question.
Okay, you don't have any questions.
Yes.
But my explanations here, are they serving you? Are they serving you? Because it's really about you at the end of the day.
Yes, they have. It's just for me to practice and learn more about the tools, like you said on YouTube.
All right. Mosi, is it serving you? Hello, Mosi. Okay, is there any other thing you would want to know? Like,
If nobody has questions, I think you can just go ahead.
it's fair, it's fair. I just want to be sure we're on the same page. I gotcha. Anybody, is there any other thing you want to know? I can hit up. Our time is almost up. I mean, we are getting an extra time. So if there is any other thing you would want us to try out, I'm really open. Use me. I'm here. Use me. It's like the best of it. Use me. What is it you want to try? What is it that has been bothering you? You think you want to try? I think it's the easiest way to learn since you've said you've never done it before. Tell me, we'll try it out together.
Maybe we should try the skin, making the skin look better. I think that's what I want to learn right now. But we can take it back since showing it the way it is better than changing it.
No, it depends on the choice we keep. You understand? Like I said, for me, yeah, this feels like a documentary. Let me bring another image. Let's see how what we could go about it with. Let's say I bring this in. Documentaries are do be different from normal. I tried using documentary because it's like the easiest I would explain Photoshop at that level. So let's say I bring this. This one doesn't have too much details with it. So let's say I'll bring like 4 different images, so we'll see what we can do about them. All right. So let's say we brought in a kind of image like this, and maybe we wanted this kid's skin to be a lot more in terms of we just want to give them clear skin. You have the option of actually using either the patch tool to take away blemishes like I've shown you, or I could repeat it, which I will repeat it, and then just arrange their clothes to a level that you want them arranged, but their kids playing really playing in the sun. So it's hard. We'll figure it out together. Then I'll show you how this is done. This is like I've done a thing about the skin, but I kept it really subtle. But I'll walk you through it together. And there's this other. Let me find another one that at least will have small hard work to do. I don't think these kids have any skin. Okay. Okay. When I bring this in, I think the pixels are bad, so we have to let it go. I bring it. I want to start with this, but it doesn't look like it will work because the pixels are bad. When I say pixels are bad, basically that it doesn't look as pop sharp as the other. So we'll let it slide. Okay, we'll come to this. Then we'll have things like the blemishes here. So we'll just see how we can work on the skin. But since we have a class tomorrow, I think I would really spend tomorrow teaching you how to clean up backgrounds on Photoshop, like a studio thing, and then having to retouch skin for a beauty retouch. But let's start with the skin tone. So first of all, I go by doing the same thing, creating the background layer by picking soft so changes, making this, taking this off, giving them that clear skin first. And this same thing I'm doing with the patch tool is that the patch tool makes it a lot easier for me to do. But I could have done it with clone stamp, and this is the clone stamp tool. All right, so this is what it would be. Big clone stamp, then we'll just go to work with it. With clone stamp, whatever I highlight a particular area that I want to replace the spot by clicking alternate, clicking left clicking on that spot, then now paint it over. Listen that. Then we just go about it that same way to other areas. The closest area to it, because if the shade I'm bringing to that area is darker than the shade before, it's just going to be, it's just what it is, it will be darker. So just go about it that way. Stronger there, it doesn't look like something that works. So go on picking J, but it's first to be used, picking it up, picking it up, picking it up. You just pick the wall up, then you will get back to filter. In the plugin area, we're supposed to have something like camera raw. I think the PC I will use tomorrow. I mean, yeah, supposed to have a different little filters where you could just put it up and then it would clear the blemishes automatically. But from the class tomorrow, I will hit on studio portrait, then we'll do the retouch from the studio portrait from ironing the clothes, pulling the clothes together to actually popping the skin up.
Okay.
Like cleaning up the skin together. So I have to now just go to rest more. Thank you very much for coming around.
Thank you so much.
For keeping you guys waiting. Tomorrow is going to be better. I'll be on time.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Savy.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for waiting.
Bye.
Thank you.